Did Naruto just die in the Boruto manga? In the middle of the most recent Boruto chapter, Naruto passes out and seemingly goes into a coma or may just die altogether. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, but first let's talk about how this chapter opens up, as Momoshiki has taken over Boruto's body and have beaten Kawaki, Sasuke, and Naruto are almost helpless against his power. Also remember, at the end of the last chapter, Boroshiki took out Sasuke's Rinnegan, so there's no chance for them to escape, and there's no chance for the Rinne rebirth for Naruto to return to life if he did die. Now, I was reading a comment section and one user actually pointed out something interesting. What if Sasuke is able to use Izanagi to bring back his Rinnegan and then use the Rinne rebirth to bring Naruto back to life? Sasuke would potentially go blind and everything, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think that Masashi Kishimoto, the original author who has taken over at this point for writing the Boruto manga now, I think he wrote that in, taking out Sasuke's Rinnegan on purpose so that nothing like that could happen. And so they have no chance to escape and no chance to bring Naruto back to life using the Rinne rebirth. So far, it appears that Sasuke will just be blind in his left eye. I don't think he'll have the Rinnegan anymore from now on, unless somehow he's able to get another eye somehow in the future. So now it's up to Kawaki and Sasuke, pretty much, since Naruto is taken out completely, to try and stop Boroshiki. Kawaki uses his prosthetic arm, and it kind of like turns into, it looks like a mini Ten Tails, kind of how like Gaara's arm would shoot out when he was fighting in the Chunin exams. So Kawaki's really going to try his best here to hold off Boroshiki, who is immensely powerful. We've seen the strength of Boroshiki before in the manga and the anime, as the last time that Momoshiki took over Boruto's body, he just got this like monstrous leap in battle power. And no matter what Kawaki is going to do here, it's pretty much going to be helpless, and Boroshiki is just going to be like laughing in his face because Kawaki is more of a tool, less of a ninja. So Boroshiki basically just flies in and stabs Kawaki in the back. That looks pretty painful, and Kawaki is going to be pretty much done for the rest of this fight, but he's actually going to get saved by Sasuke in just a minute. But first, let's talk about how he can still use Kawaki as a sacrifice for the Divine Tree, even though Kawaki doesn't have the karma inside of him. There you see Sasuke kicking away Boroshiki and saving Kawaki. Basically, as Boroshiki explains, the karma was inside of Kawaki for quite a while, enough to about 80% of a takeover, about the same as Boruto has inside of him. So even though the karma was removed earlier in the last few chapters, he still has enough Otsutsuki DNA inside of him that Boroshiki could still use him as a sacrifice for the Divine Tree. So the Divine Tree would essentially eat Kawaki, and then it would bear a fruit. It might be a small fruit, but it's still going to be a chakra fruit that would yield Momoshiki incredible amounts of power. So that's what Boroshiki's goal is. As all of the Otsutsuki want to do, they want to live forever, and they want to eat as much chakra fruit as possible to just keep getting stronger and stronger. Even though they got rid of Ishiki in the last chapter in a fairly epic manner, this Momoshiki, this Boroshiki, still has the exact same goal. So even though they were able to defeat one of the Otsutsuki there, probably the most powerful of them, Momoshiki is still insanely powerful, and with the rest of them on the last ropes, it's not looking good for the heroes at this point, because now they basically have to fight yet another Otsutsuki when they're about to pass out. Even Naruto here says his body feels like it's made of lead, this isn't good, and he passes out here. So is he dying? Is he going into a coma? I think it's probably something more of a coma, even though Kurama said that he's supposed to die. If for some reason he's able to survive, they'll have to explain that in the next chapter, because Kurama told us that Naruto was going to die from using his Baryon mode transformation, so I don't know why they would keep Naruto alive. It's possible that Kishimoto came in and said, oh no, I'm taking over this manga, you're not killing my precious Naruto. You gotta remember that Kishimoto did just recently take over the manga from the author that was writing it. So I don't know any of that for sure, that's just kind of speculation, but it appears that this is Kishimoto's writing now. So Sasuke comes in to save Kawaki and continue to battle Boruto. I'm not really sure if Sasuke has too much of a plan right now, but he's gonna try and figure something out. Now they've learned to stop using jutsus against the Otsutsuki because they can basically just nullify any jutsus. But Sasuke starts using jutsus anyway. It looks like he's using Chidori here, and basically what's happening is Boroshiki is not absorbing the jutsu. And Sasuke's starting to question it. What exactly is going on here? He should have been able to absorb that attack using his karma. So Sasuke's going to try and start using a whole array of jutsus to try and figure out what exactly is going on. And he says he's even going to kill Boruto if he has to because he's his teacher, opting to use Amaterasu. And Boroshiki creates a shadow clone to basically take the fire and survive, which was pretty nifty move. I mean, we've seen Amaterasu do some crazy damage in the past throughout all of the anime and the manga, and I'm really surprised that like nobody else has done that before. I don't think, to my recollection, anyone has really dodged Amaterasu by creating some sort of clone. Amaterasu was so pumped up to be such a powerful technique when it was first revealed, and to think that like just about every ninja can do some sort of clone technique makes Amaterasu pretty weak, but I mean, I guess you still need like insane reflexes to pull off something like that. So now Sasuke is shooting fireball jutsus, and he's noticing that Momoshiki is still dodging these techniques instead of absorbing them, in which Sasuke figures out exactly what's going on. Basically, the 2 times that Momoshiki has come out of Boruto was when Boruto was at a very low chakra level, so much so that Momoshiki could come out in a sense. And the reason he's not absorbing any jutsus is because if he absorbs it, it'll regain his chakra, which will allow Boruto to take control yet again. So Momoshiki only comes out when Boruto's chakra is depleted, and so he cannot absorb any of their jutsu. So what are they going to do now? But before the fight continues, they acknowledge that something is seriously wrong with Naruto, and it probably has something to do with his Baryon mode that he used before. They also kind of devise a plan here to force Momoshiki to absorb a jutsu, and that could potentially give Boruto enough chakra to regain his consciousness and end that fight. But at some point during this battle, Boroshiki had used the invisible Rasengan, and it smacks Sasuke, hitting him pretty bad. He looks pretty messed up here at this point, coughing up blood. So now it's just going to be Kawaki versus Boroshiki. Can Kawaki pull it off? Basically, Boroshiki goes in to use Kawaki as a sacrifice, gets right up in his face, and Kawaki like kind of envelops himself in fire. And it's not a doppelganger, he's literally like burning himself alive. He's killing himself on purpose because he knows that Momoshiki will not want to lose his sacrifice for the divine tree. And so Momoshiki has no choice but to absorb the jutsu, the fire jutsu that Kawaki's using to burn himself alive. So he absorbs it. That was a crazy play, a crazy bluff from Kawaki. I guess he knew that Momoshiki wouldn't let him die and would be forced to use the absorption technique. And in doing so, it's going to give Boruto enough chakra to start regaining some of his consciousness. We're going to start getting this little internal battle between Boruto and Momoshiki as Kawaki's plan worked, and trying to kill himself, forcing Momoshiki to absorb that fire jutsu has given Boruto enough energy to come out. He starts stopping Momoshiki from sacrificing Kawaki. And then he reaches up, he grabs his own arm. You can see them kind of struggling with each other. And then Boruto's actually going to break off the Otsutsuki horn that is sticking out here, which will remove Momoshiki altogether from controlling his body. And that's pretty much the end of the chapter there. It seems like Naruto, Sasuke, Kawaki, and Boruto have won. They have taken out Ishiki, and they have prevented Momoshiki from taking over Boruto and sacrificing Kawaki. It seems like everything is fine and dandy and that they've won, but Naruto is laying there passed out. Something is seriously wrong with him, and I think he's going to be in some sort of coma. So he may very well have to omit being the Hokage, pass it on to someone else. Maybe Sasuke will become the Hokage, I'm not really sure. And I'm sure Naruto will probably end up coming back to the manga at some point. And I mean, it really appears that like Kishimoto, original series author, came in with intervention to save Naruto and Sasuke from dying here because his editor, maybe he was afraid his editor was going to kill them off or something like that. But another question remains here, which is really interesting. So from the way this manga was going, at first it appeared that when we look back to the very opening of the anime with Kawaki versus Boruto, that maybe Ishiki would take over Kawaki, and that was actually Ishiki, not Kawaki, in the beginning of the anime. People were also thinking that potentially that version of Boruto that we saw in the beginning of the anime was actually Momoshiki all along, which I guess it still has the potential to be. But one big question remains. Kawaki does not have his karma right now. Ishiki is gone. So how is Kawaki going to get the karma that he was using in the beginning of the anime? The only way I can see is that either Momoshiki is somehow able to transport his karma onto Kawaki instead of Boruto, or another Otsutsuki is going to come in the arc after this. But let me know what you guys think below. I'm sure you guys have a lot of theories as well. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the chapter. Are you satisfied with the way that this arc ended? And what do you think about what's going to happen to Naruto? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next video.